5.4 part 2. We're still dividing polynomials, but we're going to learn a new way called synthetic division. So this is kind of like a shortcut to what we were doing in part 1. It's a new type of way to divide, and it's a lot easier. So again, this is an example that just walks us through the steps. If you need to, you can read this, but it'll make more sense once we do it. So let's look at example 1. So in synthetic division, we only care about the coefficients. So inside my box are going to be these coefficients here. Just like before, we always have to make sure all of our terms are represented. So if I have x squared, I have x to the first power, and no x here. So we're good there. So I'm going to put them inside my box. So that means 4, 23, and negative 16 go inside. And then outside the box is what is outside here, but you have to change the sign. You have to change the sign. If you don't, your answer will be wrong. So instead of a plus 5, it's going to be a minus 5 on the outside. So this is the setup. This is how you set it up every time. The coefficients from inside go inside of our box. And then the number outside, we have to remember to change the signs. So then to solve here, we drop down the first number and put it outside. So you always drop down the first number, put it on the outside. The numbers on the outside, we multiply. So what is negative 5 times 4? Negative 20. The numbers on the inside, we add. So it is 23 minus 20. 3. Now I put that number on the outside. So outside numbers I multiply. What's negative 5 times 3? Negative 15. Inside the box I add. So it's negative 16 minus 15. Negative 31. So these are the coefficients of my answer. And how I write the answer is I always start with 1 degree less than what I started with here. So if I started with x squared, if I take away an x, what's my answer going to start with? What's 1 degree less? 4x. Just x. So 4x, then I have plus 3, and the last number is always our remainder. So my answer here is 4x plus 3, remainder negative 31. So this last number here is always, always, always the remainder. Yes? So on the quiz that's coming up on Monday, it'll tell you use long division or use synthetic division. So you have to know how to do both. This is synthetic division. If you like synthetic division better, you can always check your work doing this way for the long division one. So you can check your work this, but you have to. If it says solve using long division, you have to use long division.
If we did synthetic and the long division, we can't have it.
No. All right, so let's look at the next one. What's going to go inside the box? 2, 7, and 11. So the coefficients from our question here go inside. What goes outside the box? Negative 2. We have to change the sign here. So since it's a plus 2, we put negative 2 on the outside. So step 1 is to drop down the first number. What do I do to the numbers on the outside? Multiply. So it's negative 2 times 2. Negative 4. What do I do to the numbers on the inside? Add them on the inside. So it's negative 7 minus 4. 3. What do I do next? 7 minus 4, which is positive 3. Next, I multiply. So negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. And then on the inside, add. So 11 minus 6? 5. So if my question started with x squared, what's my answer going to start with? X, and then the constant, and then the remainder. So it's 2x plus 3, remainder 5. So the last number is always your remainder. All right, so what goes inside the box here? So 1. What comes next? 0. Because in here, I'm missing what term? An x squared. So I have to put a 0 x squared there. So just as I did before, I have to make sure I put a 0 in there. So I have 1, 0, negative 13, negative 12. What goes on the outside? A positive 4, because we have to change the sign of the number on the outside. All right, what's the first thing I do? Bring down the 1. What do I do on the outside? Multiply. On the inside? What's 0 plus 4? 4. What's next? Multiply. 4 times 4 is 16. What is negative 13 plus 16? 3. What's next? Multiply. So 4 times 3? 12. And negative 12 plus 12? 0. So if my question started with x cubed, what does my answer have to start with? X squared. So it's always 1 degree less. So it'll be 1x squared plus 4. What comes next? X plus 3. And then what's my remainder? 0. So I don't have a remainder. So my answer here is x squared, because we don't put the 1, plus 4x plus 3. All right, next. What's going to go inside the box? Coefficients. So 1, 5, 11, and 15. Perfect. We're not missing any terms here because we have 3, 2, 1, and none. So we're good. What goes outside the box? Negative 3, because we have to change the signs. Now what do I do first? Bring down the 1. And then what? Multiply. Then we add, so it's 5 minus 3. Then what? Multiply. We get negative 6. And then add, we get 5. And then multiply, we get negative 15. And we add and get 0. Awesome. So if my question started with x to the third power, what does my answer have to start with? X squared. And then what comes next? X, and then the constant, and then the last is our remainder. So my answer here would be x squared, because I don't put the 1, plus 2x plus 5. And my remainder is 0, so I don't have the remainder. All right, next. What goes inside the box? Negative 1, negative 4, and 4. Always check to make sure you're not missing any. I have the third power, second power, first power, no power. So we're good there. What goes outside? Positive 2, because you always change the sign. What do I do first? Bring down the 1, and then multiply, and then add, then multiply, then add. What do I get? Negative 4 plus 2. Negative 2, then multiply, and then 0. Perfect. So if my question started with x to the third power, what's my answer going to start with? X squared. And then what comes next? X, and then that's our number, just minus 2. And then our remainder is 0. So my answer is x squared plus x minus 2. No remainder. What goes outside the box? Positive 1. What do I do first? Drop down the 1. What do I do to the numbers on the outside? Multiply. 1 times 1 is? What do I do to the numbers on the inside? Add. 3 plus 1? Numbers on the outside? Multiply, and it's 4. And then negative 1 plus 4? 3. And then 3 times 1 is? 3. And then add. So if my question started with x to the third power, what's my answer going to start with? X squared. And then what comes next? And then the constant, and then the remainder. So my answer is x squared, because I don't put the 1, plus 4x, plus 3, remainder 5.